I knew I'd find it.
Where'd you get this number?
You have no idea who you're messing with. He's like a father to you, right? You don't do this, it's a dead man.
Listen, Danny's gonna come back for me. And when he does, you're out of here. He's your worst nightmare.
Based on a true story. But I love that. Like how today they say based on a true story, and in the stories are just getting more ridiculous and ridiculous. I'm waiting for like Godzilla to come out and they say based on a true story.
It is one of those, like, they just slap that on there, like nobody even tries to verify it. And this is one of those cases where it's like, okay, look, it's not so much that the story is based on a true story, but within the story, there's a part of it that is actually based on a real book.
Yeah. A lizard walked through Tokyo. Godzilla. Based on a true story. It's like, man, today you look at these things, because I was looking at this trailer for this movie, and it says, based on a true story. And then what do they show you? They show you Jason Statham jumping on a chair out of a window, while tied to a chair. Yeah. Jumping out of a window, landing on his feet, killing people with his toes,
No, hold on now. For Jason Statham, that's tame. That's like that's a normal day for him. I mean, that's him not doing anything.
That is true.
I keep wondering if all these movies with Jason Statham, I'm sure at some point they're going to just release all his movies as a documentary based on his life. Right. And that's what it is. That's been his life. Ever since Snatch, he's just been a badass motherfucker driving a lot of cars and shooting a lot of people.
That's the thing.
That's it.
If in your movie, Jason, in the credits it says Jason Statham, ain't shit true about that story at all. Because if he's in the movie, shit gets ridiculous.
Yeah. Unless you're Chuck Norris, that shit ain't true.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry.
It's funny to me that you got hung up on that based on a true story, because I just immediately dismiss that when it comes up. I'm like, whatever. Anyway, just entertain me. That's
you might as well have fucking Pee Wee Herman in the goddamn story based on a true story starring Pee Wee Herman. And I'm like, you know what? Sorry. I still can't buy it.
Yeah.
I do worry about Jason Statham, though, because there's going to come a point when they run out of Charles Bronson movies to remake, and then what's he going to do?
Well, speaking of remakes, a lot of people think that this is a remake of a Sam Peckinpah movie.
Yeah,
which came out in the 70s at some point or something, and it's not. It has the same title,
right?
But it is not the same film, and this is actually based on a book. I guess the book was called Killer Elite. It's a book.
Well, it's about the Feathermen, a secret society, which is within the movie. It's just like they took this and said, like, well, what if we took this one little thing they did and extrapolated on that?
Yeah, and just lied about it.
Wouldn't this shit be cool if we had Jason Statham in here kicking a lot of ass?
Yeah, the people in the book are called the Feathermen. I thought when I was reading about this, it was written by Ralph Fiennes, and it is not. I had to look closely. It's written by a guy named Sir Ranulph Fiennes.
Yeah,
shit, for all I know, that might be based on a true name.
I saw that
they just changed it around.
By the way, if we haven't mentioned it yet, Robert De Niro is in this movie, which is probably the only selling point, really, when I heard about this film. Which, when I saw the poster, I saw De Niro on there, and I didn't even really look at Jason Statham or Clive Owen, who of course is also in it, because all I thought was like, oh, badass. Somebody is making a fucking Robert De Niro movie finally, where hopefully he'll be kicking some ass, doing something cool, and that's the only reason why I was really looking forward to this.
Well, I'm sort of on that same vibe, because to me, I go like, oh, great, another Jason Statham movie. But then I was like, wait, De Niro's in this? And Clive Owen? And then look at the trailer, I'm like, all right, you know what? Based on this cast and what I'm seeing right now, where I don't see a lot of like the insane Jason Statham shit, all right, I'm on board. I want to check it out.
How bad could they really fuck this up?
Yeah, right. I mean, because I saw that too. I thought it's got 3 guys on there. One of them's an old veteran actor. Truly, somebody that you look forward to.
Fuck
you see him in a movie. I mean, today he's been making some shit movies, and you still looking forward to Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Anytime somebody mentions Robert De Niro, I'm paying attention.
I was the one that defended Rocky and Bullwinkle. I was like, it's Robert.
Wow, okay.
Based on Robert De Niro. I was like,
no comment on that.
Man, it's Bobby D, man. How bad can Robert? Can Rocky and Bullwinkle be? If it's Robert De Niro. He knows what he's doing.
He's gonna bring some edge to Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah,
I know that's what's gonna happen.
And it was at that point I was like, well, yeah, he's obviously lost his fucking mind now. But it's still Rob De Niro. He's still highly respected actor.
Brother needs to eat.
Yeah, and then you have a younger respected dramatic actor, Clive Owen. I'm like, all right, and both of them together are good enough to like cover up any goddamn foolishness that Jason Statham is doing. I feel like, there's two actors who are finally bringing this guy in. It's like, okay, don't come in here with this ridiculous stuff, all right? We're making a refined action film here.
You immediately think that because Robert De Niro's involved that everyone is going to put on their A game. It's like, okay, because all I'm thinking is like, okay, maybe this is going to be a really cool ass thriller. I know it's not going to be Heat, just because I gave up on that dream a long time ago. But maybe I'm going to have something decent with some intelligence here only because De Niro is involved.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when I was watching this tonight, I was like, no, this is just another Jason Statham movie. It is a bit toned down, but it felt like it kind of dragged.
Well, you know what? It's funny because, we're sitting this at midnight where I'm like, man, I would much rather be asleep. And yet it didn't so much drag for me. It was just a very complex plot, at least as far as Jason Statham movies go.
It's too complex for a Jason Statham movie.
That's the thing. It's almost like there were like two things going on. There was like, look, I got a script for a Jason Statham movie where he kicks a lot of ass. It's like, well, I have an intense spy thriller with a lot of double crosses that the audience really has to pay attention to. And somebody came in and said, look, we ain't got enough money to make both movies, so y'all better get together and put them all in one.
I was kind of like Rob De Niro and Clive Owen came in and said, it's all about the acting. And Jason Statham said, fuck you. And just said, we're doing it my way. I don't care what kind of movie you had in mind. We're going to change this into like a foolish action film. And that's not even really the problem here. The problem is what you just said, man. It's like it's rarely that and I've seen a movie like that has done this before, but it's rare that I've seen a film that the pace moves so fast that it slows the plot down. Right. It's like, because I spent most of the time like being bored trying to figure out what was happening.
Yeah, like who's chasing who for what reasons and why.
I guess I was bored because I didn't care, because it pretty much, once the movie started, it started quick. I mean, it moved along, and normally I would love that about a film, but I did not have it. It's not until it got about halfway through, and when halfway through for this is an hour, where I figured like, okay, I get it now. Now it's all coming together.
Somebody finally took the time to stop running and stop shooting and stop driving to really let you know what is kind of going on here. And even when you're told that, at least I was still confused, going, okay, well, I still don't know, like, why did this need to be turned into a movie?
Okay, see, you guys are the reason why we get movies like The Mechanic. Because I sit and watch The Mechanic, I'm like, do they have to dumb it down so much? Now, here was one that was complex where I was like, okay, I really got to follow this. But I was never confused. I was like, all right, I'm piecing it together. The only part that was almost throwing me off was the thick ass accents that everybody had. Like, you got some British guys in here that talk with such a thick accent. I'm like, I didn't understand what he just said. What was that? Yeah, no, it was, especially when you had like the Irish or Scottish guys come in. Yeah. And they talking to the archie, right?
I kept going like, what fucking country am I in now? Like, where's this way?
It's like, no, that's not any language on earth. What planet are they from?
And then you get the Middle Easterners. It's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, no, it's not that I didn't understand the plot. I just thought that, like I said, things were moving along so fast that I didn't get to know anything. I didn't get to really like take time to pull the story together. And then when I didn't know the characters that well, or I didn't know their relationships with each other, or if they did have relationships, I understood, but I didn't get to know these characters well enough to care about that. It didn't help that all this was pretty much routine action flick stuff. I mean, there was nothing in here with the action it wasn't bad, but there was nothing in there that said, you know what, there's nothing here that is really making me excited to, I guess, to cover up that fact that I don't care about the story here. Because if you see a kick-ass action film, it's like, we walked out of plenty of action films where it's been like, what, who cares about the story or this and that? This is all about kicking ass, and then it's like, nah, I've seen this all before. This is pretty mundane action stuff.
And then, because I think the other problem is that, this director, I think he's a first-time director too.
Yeah, the thing he did before was a short.
You could kind of tell he was, because just the action scenes were kind of just paint by numbers for me watching it. I was like, all right, Jason Statham, he's still doing the same thing that I've seen before in The Transporter and all the other action films he does, where I was kind of bored of it. I was like, I've seen this a billion times. Jason Statham is still playing the same character he's always played in all those other films. And, you have a character in there like De Niro where you're hoping like, okay, maybe there'll be some good chemistry between the two. But, after the first like 20 minutes or so, De Niro walks out of the picture and you really don't see him until the last part of the film where I'm like, okay, that sucks because now it's just turned into a Jason Statham movie versus a Clive Owen film.
And that's another thing you hit on, man. Jason Statham, I like the guy. The guy gets by on being who he is. But who he is like, I thought I'd never say this, but if I have to see Jason Statham play one character, if he's going to have just that much limited range, I would prefer to see him in something like The Transporter. Because he's so, he just comes in and is so deadpan. It's like, the guy will put me to sleep if he's not doing something crazy and stupid.
It's like
see him turn a car around and then disarm a bomb or something.
And that's what works with those Crank films because the rest of the movie around him is so chaotic and so insane that seeing him interact in that world, you're completely interested. But you take all that craziness, all those crazy side characters that you normally see in those Crank films. Yeah, he is just a typical B-list action star. Where I'm like, you could honestly. I feel bad for Steven Seagal because I'm sure Steven Seagal, this is the career that he probably wanted, because Jason Statham still looks like he can still kick ass. I don't know how old the guy is. When I saw him in Snatch, I thought he was at least 40 or something. But this guy has been doing these types of movies for so goddamn long. I'm like, how old is this motherfucker? But good for him because you know what? He still looks like he's in his prime to do this type of film.
Yeah.
But I only wish his range would. I don't know. I wish it would go somewhere because I'm just kind of getting tired of him.
Well, it's like y'all are just now starting to see him as I've seen him for a long time. Like Snatch was one of those few movies where I'm like, I thought, okay, he's actually acting, playing, a character. Where everything else, he's just playing the same guy, same guy over and over. And I think I have a lot of affection for this movie because of how much I don't like so many of the other movies he's been in.
Really?
Because I go like, okay. The Mechanic was just one of those movies I thought, like everything else saying about this movie, that's how I felt about The Mechanic, where I was just like, all right, you could have had something, but you just want to play it stupid and dumb at every turn.
Well, I was with you on the Mechanic.
Yeah,
I wasn't crazy about that movie either.
I don't think I was crazy about it.
Yeah,
too.
I think the only one I was.
Well, I'm not saying that y'all like The Mechanic. I'm just saying after seeing The Mechanic, I watched this. I'm like, okay, at least this had some thinking behind it. It wasn't just it wasn't just a two-step.
See, let me elaborate on the plot here to tell you because the plot is the combination of Jason Statham. Is it Statham? Everybody corrects me on that.
Statham.
Is it Statham?
Is either Statham or Statham?
I remember I
stopped giving a shit.
I know. I used to put an R in that shit. I used to call him Stratham. Somebody finally corrected me like, why are you calling him that, man?
You should know better than to ask me because I fuck up anything.
Yeah, because according to you, he's Jason. That's Statham.
There's also that actor David Strathairn.
Strayhorn, Strayhands. Yeah.
Stratham. He's on Alpha. So
I know what you're talking about. But this right here, I tell you what the main problem here for me is. Okay, you have a plot here where you have Robert De Niro and Jason Statham. Their names are Jason Statham's Danny Bryce, and Robert De Niro is just called Hunter. Yeah. That's it. I imagine these were like kind of code names for these people in the book. Cause
his code name is Danny.
I think they probably changed his name. Like the guy thought of, he thought of Danny and decided to give like Jason Statham characters that name. And then when he got to Clive Owen and Robert De Niro, he wanted to get a little more creative. He was like, Danny's boring. I'm gonna call these other guys Hunter and Spike.
Now,
it's better than Charles.
Just to say, there are actual people whose names are Hunter.
Okay, Clive Owen. How many people named Spike? Besides dogs.
The gremlin?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we got a Spike. Like that gremlin?
We got a dog. We got a gremlin. I think there's a cartoon character out there somewhere. But anyway, Danny and Hunter. No, these are special forces guys.
Or whatever they were.
Mercenaries.
They're mercenaries.
Right?
Now.
They're
mercenaries and assassins.
So they're giving, their background's very secret. But one day they get hired to do a job by some guy who brokers these deals for a sheik. The sheik comes in and says, my sons were ruthlessly gunned down and murdered out in the desert by the SAS. That's the British